All right, today we are diving into one of the most mind-bending questions you can possibly ask. What if this reality, everything you see, everything you feel and experience, is actually an incredibly advanced, maybe even divinely coded simulation? Let's get into it. Just think about that for a second. What if you aren't just some random person living a random life, but you're actually a spiritual being who has chosen to be here to have this experience? What if you are an avatar in the greatest, most complex game ever designed? Let's really unpack what that could mean. So, first up, the cosmic computer. If our universe is a simulation, what's the hardware? What's the architecture that's running this entire show? Let's kick things off with a pretty powerful analogy. Think of our sun, but not just as a star. Imagine it's the cosmic CPU. It's the engine, right? It's pumping out the energy, the light, you could even say the very code that powers and animates every single thing in our reality. It is the central processor for our entire world. And look, this isn't just some wild sci-fi fantasy. The simulation hypothesis is a really serious idea that philosophers and scientists are exploring. You've got thinkers like Nick Bostrom and Dr. Rizwan Virk who suggest that if any civilization ever gets good enough to create realistic simulations, they're probably going to create a whole bunch of them, which makes it statistically pretty likely that we're living in one right now. Now, let's take this one step further. If the sun is the CPU, then maybe space itself is the screen. This theory suggests our whole three-dimensional world is actually a holographic projection. That would mean we're all characters in this immense, totally immersive cosmic theater, just interpreting projected light and energy as a solid physical reality. Wild, right? Okay, so we've got the hardware, we've got the display, but what about you, the player? This next section is all about your spiritual avatar and really understanding your role in this whole cosmic game. This right here is the most crucial piece of the puzzle. According to this whole idea, you are not your body. At your deepest level, you are a non-physical consciousness, an intelligence made of pure energy, of light, and you willingly chose to jump into this physical simulation. So you gotta ask, why? Why would a limitless being choose to be, well, limited? Because when you're in a state of pure, boundless energy, there are no challenges, there are no obstacles to overcome. It's only by stepping into a dense avatar with its rules and its constraints that you actually get to experience things like courage and real growth, and that amazing feeling of triumph when you overcome some huge adversity. And this idea isn't even new. Ancient Indian traditions talk about the koshas, which are these 5 sheaths or layers that cover up our true spiritual self. The physical body, it's just the outermost, densest layer. It's the perfect interface, like a controller for navigating the game of life. Okay, so if we are in a simulation, shouldn't there be some signs, some cracks in the code? And that brings us to our next section, glitches in the code and how to spot the signs that something's up. And I really want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever had one of those experiences that just didn't add up? Something that made you stop in your tracks and question the very fabric of what you thought was real? So many people report these kinds of things, déjà vu. Maybe that's just a programmatic loop replaying itself. The Mandela effect, where tons of people remember history differently. Could that be evidence of a reality edit, like a software patch? And precognitive dreams. Maybe you're getting a sneak peek at future lines of code. But here's a thought. What if these so-called glitches aren't mistakes at all? What if they're intentional? Think of them like little breadcrumbs left by the game designer, or maybe even by your higher self, designed to nudge you, to help you wake up and realize there's so much more going on than what you can see. And that right there brings us to the most empowering part of this entire idea. If this really is a game, can we learn to play it consciously? Can we actually go from being just a passive player to an active, conscious creator? Spiritual traditions have talked about the world as Maya, or illusion, for ages. But the point isn't to reject it. It's like this paraphrased wisdom says, enlightenment is about awakening within the illusion. It's about seeing the game for what it is while you're still in it, still playing it. So how do you actually do it? Well, the pathways might be simpler than you think. Meditation is huge. It helps quiet down all the noise from the avatar. Paying attention to your dreams and your intuition helps you see the underlying patterns. Actively glitch spotting keeps you aware of the simulation's structure. And finally, compassion and love. This might just be the master key, the thing that lets you access the true source code of reality itself. And this leads to the ultimate mind blower. Thinkers like Donald Hoffman are arguing that consciousness is what's fundamental. It's not a product of the physical world. The physical world is a product of consciousness. The game itself, at its very core, is made of thought and awareness. So if we can wake up as individuals, what happens when we start to wake up collectively? I mean, what does that actually mean for the future of this shared simulation we're all in? Well, one incredible possibility is that a mass awakening could kick off a brand new era for humanity. As more and more people realize their true spiritual nature and how interconnected we all are, things like suffering and division could start to fade away, leading to a kind of golden age. Or maybe it's even more exciting than that. Maybe it means we graduate to the next level. We could become conscious co-creators of our reality, intentionally designing new worlds and new experiences, all based on wisdom and love. So to wrap this all up, if you take anything away from this, remember these three things. 1. You're not a prisoner here, you are an adventurer who chose to be here. 2. Your life isn't random, it's a profound school for spiritual growth. And 3, most importantly, you have the power to stop being a passive character and actually start waking up inside your own game. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about as you go on with your day. Now that you've seen the potential layout of the game, what role are you going to choose? Are you going to stay a player just following the script? Or are you going to start learning how to become the coder of your own reality? The choice really is yours.